for week 2 of the End Zone, presented by TiVo, alongside Ian Eagle, Jason Horowitz. Glad to be with you each week, coming to you right here on CBSSports.com and on your TiVo DVR via TiVo Cast, bringing you the top 5 stories in and around the NFL. And Ian, they didn't like the fact that it was just the two of us. We need to have a third person in here. We need to have another person. So let's do that.
We need protection. That's what it comes down to. We need a guy up front that we know is going to take care of the show.
Are you saying we're small?
I'm saying I'm small.
All right, we're both.
You're actually fairly medium-sized.
In which country? Let's bring in a guy who could definitely protect us, and that's Randy Cross, who'll be joining us every single week from Atlanta. And Randy, the first topic for the TiVo show here for the End Zone is the matchup of the week, the Chargers and the Patriots. And unfortunately, the top story with the Chargers and the Patriots has nothing to do with football.
Yeah, we've kind of grown used to this, Randy, the fact that the offseason was dominated with off-the-field topics. Here we are now leading into week 2, and we're still talking about an off-the-field issue. It is Videogate. The New England Patriots busted last week using a video camera, trying to steal signals from the New York Jets. Look, there's an added element here, the soap opera story. Eric Mangini, former assistant under Bill Belichick, and he knows where the bodies are buried in New England. And, hey, are we making more of this, Randy, than there should be made? Or is this a legitimate story in the NFL that people have to pay more attention to?
Well, I think this is something, guys, that if you look at the league offices put out memos. They've reminded people of the line of where exactly you could go with this. So it is more than just a football issue. It's an ethical issue, and there is a place that you're not supposed to go. That line has been crossed. Now, the whole issue of the border war between the Jets and the Pats and who ratted out who is kind of a moot point at this time. It's up to Roger Goodell and the NFL office to kind of make their ruling, defend the integrity of the game, which they've done an excellent job of up to date, and just move on. And I think that's what the league is going to do.
But the truth of the matter is the game between the Patriots and the Jets was 38-14. Whether they were stealing signals, whether they were getting the defensive play calls, it doesn't matter. They blew them out. They were clearly the better team. Now comes the Chargers into New England for week 2. And you got a different story because San Diego is a much better football team than the New York Jets.
Yeah, and San Diego's motivated after what happened last year. Certainly that has stuck with them throughout the offseason. But they've got a new head coach in Norv Turner. They've got some question marks following their Week 1 win over the Chicago Bears. They couldn't get that offense in gear. I think ultimately Norv Turner will be able to raise that offense even up another level. And the confidence that Phillip Rivers will have in Week 16 and 17 compared to Week 1 and 2, you're going to see that's going to be the biggest key overall for the San Diego Chargers. But heading in against the New England team, certainly, Randy, in Week 1, New England looked more like the finished product than San Diego did in their respective games.
And they'll look that way if the San Diego Chargers approach them in a similar fashion by, let's say, not covering Randy Moss down the field with 3 different defensive backs.
Yeah, that would help.
Let's see, not covering kicks, things like that. It was a pretty sloppy performance by the Jets. But Week 1 is something that we can get way too depressed about, and you can look at really too closely with too much scrutiny, because Week 1 is really not that important in the whole scheme of things. Remember back, and I can go back, I don't know how many years, you saw a Steeler team a couple years ago lose opening day and reel off 15 straight.
Right.
Yep. You've seen other teams that were kind of off the map. I expect this game on Sunday between San Diego and the New England Patriots to be a real offensive showcase. I think Phillip Rivers and this offense will light up the scoreboard, as will Tom Brady and the Pats.
But you said that Week 1's not that important, and I think people understand that. But then here's the question. How important is the change from Week 1 to Week 2? What you do differently in Week 2? How important is that?
I think there's an overreaction.
It's all about who you're playing.
Yeah, that's part of it, obviously, a big part of it. But, Randy, you've been around this a long time, and in the NFL, probably more than any other sport, after one game, there is a huge overreaction in the National Football League. Why? Because you've waited an entire offseason, you've wasted your time in the preseason conjuring up images, positive and negative, of what your team is going to be. So you'll have teams that have a great performance in Week 1 that could end the season at 4-12, but the fans after Week 1 react as if, hey, I knew it. This team was going to the playoffs. Vice versa, you'll have teams that struggle after Week 1, and you'll have those same fans that said, I knew this team was not going to be able to take that next step as an organization. And then they reel off, as you said earlier, the Pittsburgh Steelers, 14, 15 straight wins, or finish the season 10-6 and go to the postseason. Week 1 is so overrated.
No better example than the Giants and the Saints. They're not going to fold up the tents. I mean, the Giants scored 35 points last week. The New Orleans Saints played against the world champs and played a wonderful first half and just kind of went away in the second half. They're not going to suddenly figure out, oh, this must be one of our 6 and 10 years. We're not going to do anything the rest of the year.
Well, Randy, what you didn't know is that was a perfect silky segue into our newest segment. It's the TiVo Rewind. It's when we look each and every week at something we said at the previous show of the End Zone. And Ian, you were right on the money last week.
Well, a big focus for us was the matchup between the quarterbacks, Romo and Manning, in Week 1. Now, who has the edge in this game? Dallas has the edge. The Cowboys, yes, they're healthy, but a new head coach there. Question marks as to how they adjust to his style. That remains to be seen. Big picture for Dallas, but we're just dealing with Week 1 right now. Yeah. And Week 1, you got to give Dallas the edge. I'll go undefeated this year in the TiVo Rewind.
So this is all going to be you?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. I think one of these days they'll get nobody cares about the rewind. I mean, I can't rewind myself, but I think one of these days we'll get Randy in on the rewind.
Randy will get into it. I'll let Randy into the rewind. Why not?
Well, Randy, let's start thinking about the rewind for next week. Give us a pick for the Chargers and the Patriots.
Well, I was going to say I love the Cowboys in that game.
Yeah, smart man.
I like the Pats. I think the Pats are about a touchdown better at this point in the NFL season.
All right, he likes the Pats. Ian, who do you like?
I like San Diego. I think San Diego's motivated. I think New England is shaken a bit after all of the Videogate talk following Week 1. I like San Diego to take this Week 2 showdown of possible AFC Championship matchup down the road, although Indianapolis will still have something to say about it.
Randy, just because you're in Atlanta and Ian sitting next to me, I'm also going to take San Diego because I don't really want him to hit me if I take New England and make it a 2-1 swing that way. So I will also take San Diego in this just simply because of the similar facts, is the fact that LaDainian Tomlinson has a lot to prove, and it's hard. It'd be impossible not to focus on what's going on around them in New England with this Videogate situation. All right, folks, that's it for this segment here of the End Zone. Stick around. Plenty more from Randy Cross and Ian Eagle as we continue here on In the End Zone presented by TiVo. You can always rewatch this or any story from the week or throughout the year on demand, available both at CBSSports.com and on your TiVo DVR via TiVo Cast. Be sure to get the End Zone in your living room.